Okay, this is your video for notes for section 7.2. Our goal for these notes is to learn to identify pairs of complementary and supplementary angles. You should have already done an activity introducing complementary and supplementary. So turn to the page in your notes, it's 7.2, and we're going to talk about complementary angles first. Complementary angles, please fill in your notes. Two angles are complementary angles when the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. Remember, sum means to add. So when you add the angles, they add up to 90 degrees. And here are some examples. Please notice in the first example that the angles are actually not touching. Okay, they're not touching. Whereas in the second case, it's a little more obvious that they're 90 degrees because there's a right angle in it. So 30 and 60 equals 90 in the first one, and angle 1 plus angle 2 together create a right angle. So we know they are complementary. It's helpful to know if angles are complementary because it can help you find missing angles. Now let's look at supplementary. In your notes, fill in that two angles are supplementary angles when the sum of their measures is 180 degrees. So complementary is 90 degrees. You might want to highlight that somehow. And supplementary is 180 degrees, which is a straight line. One way I like to remember this is complementary. It is right to give a complement, so it makes a right angle. And supplementary is 180, which is a straight line. So supplementary and straight both start with an S. And here are some pictures of supplementary. Notice that they might not be touching, as in the first example. 135 plus 45 is 180, so they are supplementary, however, they're not touching. In the second example, we can tell they're supplementary because they do create a straight line. So angles 3 and 4 are supplementary, and they create a straight line. So we need to use that, put that into practice a little bit. Just to review, complementary, two angles add up to 90. Supplementary, two angles add up to 180. So on your notes, you have a couple of problems. It says, tell whether the angles are complementary or supplementary, and then find the value of x. Well, on angle A, is that supplementary or complementary? It's got a little square in it, which shows you that it is a right angle. So you would say that that is complementary, and you can write COMP for complementary. Complementary adds up to 90 degrees. So that means you know that this angle, 4x, plus this angle, 36, has to equal 90. So we write that as an equation. 4x plus 36 equals 90. Please write that on your paper. And then solve it. Just a hint, you can do teeter-totter. Or if you don't want to draw the teeter-totter in there, you want to balance. Pinky test tells you to cover up the 4x, and you're left with plus 36, so you would want to subtract 36. Make sure you have this on your paper. So now I'm just left with 4x equals, and 90 minus 36 is 54, I believe. So then I need to solve for x, so I would divide by 4. And you can calculate that. I'll give you a moment to calculate what that would be. And hopefully you found out that that was 13 and a half. So you would say x equals 13.5. So 13 and a half would be the solution to this equation. Now let's look at B. Is that complementary or supplementary? They form a straight line. So hopefully you said that that is supplementary. And you can write SUPP for supplementary. And we know supplementary adds up to 180. So I would say that x plus x minus 4, those two angles have to equal 180. In this case, I've got some like terms. What is x plus x? Remember, there are 1's in front of them, so 1x plus 1x is 2x, minus 4 equals 180. So we would make our teeter-totter. Pinky test would cover up the 2x, and I know that I have a minus 4, so I need to add 4. So now I have 2x equals 180 plus 4 is 184. In your final step to get to alone, you should divide by 2. So when you take 184, go ahead and divide that by 2. And hopefully you found 92 for your answer to this solution. So knowing if something is complementary or supplementary is very helpful in solving equations. In finding missing values of variables and finding missing degrees. So in this chapter so far, you've learned about complementary and supplementary. Complementary has to add up to 90. Supplementary has to add up to 180 degrees. You've also learned about that vertical angles, which are across from each other, are always congruent. And we've learned about the vertex. You need to always have that as the middle letter when you name an angle. And we also learned about adjacent angles, which I don't have on this. So just a quick review of some of the things. Now those are your notes. What I would like you to do now is get the paper for page 280. You need to do 3 through 16 all. And when you're done doing that homework and checking it, you can go ahead and take homework quiz 7.2. So you're now done with your notes for this section.